usually at the most inappropriate times.
Mm-hmm.
And we are live right here on Dirt Track Racing Network. Another edition of Sooner Limited Modified Series live in Oklahoma with Larry Carr and Damian Bean. Guys, go ahead and take it away.
All right, good evening and welcome to another Thirsty Thursday edition of the Sooner Limited Modified Series radio show. I'm Larry Carr, along with my buddy Damian Bean. Good evening, Damian.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am good, and yourself?
I am enjoying a Thirsty Thursday edition of a Coors Light.
Ah, frosty beverage? Nothing wrong with a frosty beverage?
No, not at all. Hey, right off the top, I got to send a big
shout out
and a thank you to all the Schoonover boys keeping us, Larry and I, supplied at Enid last weekend with plenty of Coors Light. So thank you, guys. Hope to see you each and every week out at the racetrack.
Absolutely, wherever we go. If we're there and you're there and you want to bring us a cold one, absolutely. He drinks Coors Light, I drink Bud Light, but you know what? Nobody ever turned down a free cold beer, so whatever you bring us, we will put it away.
Absolutely.
Not looking like a good weekend for racing.
No, not at all.
My schedule has gone from full to empty.
I think yours and mine and Stevie's and a lot of people's have went to hands in the air going, what the hell, Mother Nature? When is enough enough?
This new season they've come up with, they call it Sprinter. Winter all the way into spring. I kind of like that, Sprinter. Man, you know, my mom always had wisdom beyond herself, and she always used to tell us, don't get rid of your winter coat until late, about early May. I've seen it snow in April. I've seen it get real cold in late April, and bing, bang, here we are,
Yeah.
Mama knows what she's talking about sometimes.
Yeah, if anybody would like to call in and argue the whole global warming theory, I would be more than happy to take you up on that.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting climate here, one day to another.
Absolutely.
So, what we are obviously saying is there's no racing for the Sooner Limited Modified Series this weekend. The race has been canceled due to the cold, the impending cold. Probably the best decision was made, regardless of whether we liked it or not. And while we're on that subject, Red Dirt Raceway has also canceled their Friday night event. Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore has canceled their event. Ada, Oklahoma Sports Park, has postponed their event to another date and time. And I believe at this point the only one still hanging on inside the state of Oklahoma is Lawton Speedway. And unless those people have a magic crystal ball that are telling them something different than we do, or unless maybe the southern corner of the state's not going to get what we get, I see that changing between now and then also. But who knows? Maybe it's going to stay warmer down there.
You never know. It can be kind of weird in Oklahoma this time of year. One half of the state could be 80 degrees. But speaking of no Sooner Limited Modified action this weekend, Enid being canceled, they have rescheduled the Sooner Late Model Series versus the NCRA Late Model Series. That race will be added to the May 5th lineup. No, I don't have a definitive word on what we're going to do exactly with the Spring Nationals yet, if it's just going to be scrubbed or if it might be moved to one of the late rain-out dates that we have set aside for the end of the season. Not sure yet, but the NCRA Sooner Late Model Showdown will go on with the May 5th lineup, so that'll be pretty cool to come check out.
Yep. And that also means that the next event for the Sooner Limited Modified Series will be April 14th at Super Bowl Speedway in Greenville, Texas, and that's going to be a really exciting event going down there to Greenville, Texas.
Yeah, I've never been down there before. This will be my first trip down there with the series, and looking forward to checking out a new racetrack. I can check another one off the old list there. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a very old school facility. It's the track itself, as I said when I was down there, the backstretch, there is no straightaway to the backstretch. It's all one big curve. And it has some character to it. It's going to be an interesting race, and it would be interesting to see how we do against those their cars down there.
Yeah, I heard I had heard and saw some videos of some racing from down in that neck of the woods and from that raceway, and it's definitely some good racing that goes on down there. I can't wait to get down there and check it out in person. But finishing off the month of April for the series, after that, the 28th, they're going to be at the Oklahoma Sports Park in Ada. So 2 more races left in the month of April for you guys. And, man, we had talked a little bit about your schedule last week, Larry. Man, you have taken on a tough schedule this year, man. Hats off to you, buddy.
Thank you. You kind of alluded to it while we were out there at Enid. He looks over at me and he says, "You're announcing for all 3 of the Sooner Series, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yep." On top of that, doing a little workout at Red Dirt Raceway with my buddy Sean Elliott.
Yeah.
And so that should be interesting year for me.
Well, I'm excited about the fact I'll get to work with you pretty much from here on out at Enid. You'll be one of the Sooner Series, if not multiple, will be there every single night throughout the season out at Enid, and you'll be there. And it was a lot of fun Saturday night working with you. First race for me out there. It was great. All the feedback's been good. Everybody liked it, so it's only going to get better.
I've worked. I'll throw a little compliment your way. I've worked with a few different announcers, and I think that you and I work as well together, and maybe better than any combination that I've worked with. We kind of know what each other. Just like a minute ago, when you went to the next thing on the schedule was Ada, we hadn't talked about that we were going to do that, but that is exactly where I was going. So we work pretty well together.
Yeah. Well, you compliment me well in the fact that. Like we talked about actually at the racetrack with some of the fans, me being new to Oklahoma, the hardest part for me is going to be making that transition to being able to identify a person's name with a car.
Right.
Knowing for where they're from, knowing who their sponsors are. I mean, it's just Larry and I both, we walked around the pits Saturday like we would do any other night in any other racetrack. We've got our notebook. We're asking guys questions, getting information. You can write it down, but it takes that repetitive calling the race, being able to identify that in pronunciation of some of your guys' names.
That's where I was just going to go. To this day, I still have a problem with Cole Troggett's name. And I've mispronounced 5 or 6 times.
I was having problems with that sprint car driver's name. I think you laughed at me after about 3 or 4 times because you knew there was just no way I was going to get
it. Yeah. I finally gave up. You were never ever going to get it, but it's all right. I mean, on that note, I was. I don't know about you, but I got there about 1, I think, and still didn't have time to get around to visit with everybody that I would have liked to have. There's a lot more information that I want to get about a whole lot of these drivers. And, when you've got, what do we have? How many cars do we have total?
All in all, there was somewhere around 100, give or take a few.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good round number. When you've got 100 drivers and 100 cars and you're going to try to get around and talk to everybody, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. That's why I tried to make as many of the practices as I could before the season started. And I was walking around handing guys questionnaires. Here, fill this out, man. The more information you can give me, the better off I'm going to be. But
all right.
First night worked out great. I was nervous, but it worked out pretty good. It was kind of like riding a bicycle, but
just comes back to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm happy to be out at Enid and look forward to a 2018. It's going to be hopefully as awesome as the first night was. And speaking of awesome, man, hats off and a big round of applause to you fans, man.
Oh my gosh!
Coming out.
Oh my gosh! I was talking about that at work when I came back from the weekend. I was like, everybody's like, "Man, did you freeze your butt off out there?" And I was like, I was all right. I was up inside the booth, for most of the night. Yeah, we went outside. We come back. We go outside. But we had protection. Those fans hung on to the absolute end. I mean, they're, geez, I can't give it up enough to them. They're awesome. They're big fans up there needed. Let me tell you, they're big race fans.
Yeah, and I know our local Sooner fans and the people that live here and the fans and the drivers that experience Oklahoma wind on a daily basis know what we mean. But for our listeners that are not from this area, it got cold quick, folks. There is always a wind that's blowing through Oklahoma. We had probably a good 20 to 25 mile an hour sustained east-northeast wind that once the sun went down, it went from about 70 degrees at 4 o'clock to race time at 7 o'clock. We were at temperatures in the low 50s with a just brutal north wind. And, man, our dirt track warriors hung around
20-something, maybe.
Oh, it was brutal.
The American flag was straight. That's how hard the wind was blowing. I mean, it was. Well, it was just...
Yeah, it was something else, but thanks to the fans for hanging out and sticking it out, and I can't wait for warmer weather. But opening night results from out of
What a race.
Yeah, we had some great races.
What a bunch of races.
Lance Sessions swept the Pro Stock Series, won his heat race, ended up getting a feature win. Shane Sellers, and I'm not 100% on this, Shane, so if I'm not correct, call in and correct me by all means, but it was either his first ever win or it was his first win with the SSO Sprint Series. But nonetheless, Shane Sellers picking up either one of his first wins in convincing style. He really put it on those boys. Until he caught lap
He should have had a good battle there with Gary Owens. The Pie Man, back and forth with him for a while there. Of course, then the Sellers got checked out. And until he started having to work lap traffic, he lapped like, I don't know how far up into the field. But anyway, and then Owens got a chance to catch up to him again, but couldn't really, never really challenged him again. But for a while there, him and Owens went back and forth.
Oh, yeah, they did. It was a great race. And even while the heat races were still going on, one thing that I had alluded to is that was the first time for me seeing sprint cars at Enid, but man, the straightaway speed those guys were carrying down. Oh man, they were getting it. They were getting it. It was fun to watch. If you weren't there, you definitely need to be out there for the next time. We have some sprint cars. I know we got some USAC non-wing sprint racing coming up, so I love non-wing sprint racing, so that's going to be great for me. But yeah, you need to check out some sprint cars at Enid. That was pretty fun to watch. But the Sport Mod feature, Jeffrey Kopp ended up getting his first win of 2018, and there was some circumstances behind that. But if you were there, you know what we're talking about. But I'm not going to dive into that. It was an interesting race, and Cole Troggett ended up winning a race shortened Sooners modified race. We we had a very scary incident that took place during the last feature of the night, and we're not going to dive into that too much because the young man that was a part of that's going to be on the show here a little bit later with us. And who we got coming up first, Larry?
A guy that's been on the show before and is no stranger to sport limited modified racing or the limited modified series. The Mr. Western Fire Express Chassis himself, Curtis Allen. Hello, Curtis.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's always great to have you on. We were talking earlier off the air about how what a great guest you are and how you can run with the ball if I'll throw it to you. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. If I lose you, we're driving down the road, so if I lose you, I'll call you back.
Okay. We were talking earlier before we came on, and we were going to talk tonight a lot about safety. And there was a picture that went on the internet of a car. Probably you are familiar with it. It's Tommy Dove's car when he wiped it out down there at Ardmore.
Yeah.
And we're talking about safety, and we're talking about the incident. We're going to talk about the incident up at Enid this weekend. And you, as a race car chassis builder, you know a lot about this. I was thinking earlier tonight, You know, we talked a lot when you were on before about the Western Flyer chassis and the way that they're set up to handle really well and to be adjustable to a certain amount of adjustment for drivers and all of that. But we didn't touch a lot on another aspect of it that you must think about, and that is the what-if factor.
Oh, yeah. No, it's always there. And it's something I've always took very serious. It's just always been a fear of somebody getting hurt. You know, and in another sense, you cannot, you know, we can't make these cars where they're indestructible.
Absolutely not.
I mean, there's, you know, stuff's going to happen. But, you know, about all we can do is try to learn and make improvements. And we, over the years, man, we have, you know, we've changed, you know, how things are braced and actually raised the cages to make more headroom, added bars down by your feet for more protection. So, you know, as you see wrecks and see stuff happen, you know, I always want to look at it and see, man, is there something I could do to be better and make that a safer car without just trying to make a solid piece of steel that you're riding around in that when you do wreck it, the driver's going to get hurt worse than, you know, he would have before.
That's what I was just, you led right into my next question, which was, as with street cars, I imagine that there has to be a certain amount of crushability, I guess is the word I want to use, or impact absorbing built into the car as well.
Yes, you can't. I mean, if we could just add bars all around and make it just as solid to where, you know, nothing would ever move, then the driver, his body is going to take all the energy in whatever you hit, when you roll, every time it hits the ground, something there has to absorb some of that energy. So, you know, you kind of have to be, you want to make it as safe as possible, but you don't want to make it so rigid and hard and stiff that a guy ends up getting hurt because of it.
And all that goes in when you're planning, when you're building a new chassis, all of that has to be factored in.
Oh, yeah. And I'm, you know, I don't think it'll ever stop. I mean, guys that build cars are going to continue to change and redo their design as they see stuff happen.
Is it perception or are cars getting faster?
Some of it, though, some of it's perception. The Sport Mod, I think, is still evolving and getting faster. If you go back and like the modifieds and you look, and it's been a discussion over the last year or so about the expense and the speed, but you go back and look at times at racetracks 5, 6, 8 years ago, and they really haven't changed that much.
Yeah.
Now, I do think the Sport Mods over the last few years have gotten faster and faster, and that also, you know, you take that into consideration when you're deciding whether to make changes or not. Speeds are getting bigger. I mean, you know, so the wrecks are going to be bigger. It's always it's a sickening feeling when you're sitting at the racetrack and somebody runs over and tells you that a guy flipped about 8 times down the front straightaway. It's just kind of a sick to your stomach, you know, worrying, you know, is he okay?
Yeah.
You know, so it's something most chassis builders, everybody takes it very serious, you know, because that's the last thing I want is, somebody to get hurt.
Absolutely.
Hey, Curtis, this is Damien. You're fine, buddy. Hey, Curtis, this is Damien. I've talked to you a couple times at the racetrack, but this is the first time I've had the opportunity to talk to you on the show. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you have an opportunity last Saturday at Enid to go look at Trayton's car after that accident, or were you already gone?
Nah, I wasn't even there. I wasn't able to come to Enid, but I saw pictures, and man, from you could dissect that car and say, well, this broke and that broke, and look at it and say, well, that shouldn't have. But in the end of the day, he got out of the car and walked away.
Absolutely.
So the car did its job.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hardly sit there and look at it and try to say, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. Man, if that guy got out and walked away and wasn't hurt, from the look of that wreck, the car did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Well, we were there, and we saw that impact. Yeah. And I'm telling you, that car did its job absolutely.
Yes, it did. I was standing down in the infield doing the Victory Lane interviews, and I was standing directly across the track from that tire he hit. And he caught my eye coming down the front straightaway because I seen him kind of dip off that little berm a little bit, and I was like, uh-oh. And the sound alone of that impact.
Oh, man.
In over 35 years that I've been around this sport, I've never heard anything like that. And hats off to all the safety crew at Enid. I'd say within 90 seconds that the car stopped moving, they had him extracted from the race car. So, I mean, he absolutely got out, was able to walk away. But, from the pictures that you've seen of that and just how bad shape that car was when it was all said and done, do you think anything may have attributed to that in the aspect of, he was wide open when he hit it, the car was up on the bars, everything was stretched to the limit? I mean, do you think that played a factor into just how bad it ripped into that race car?
I mean, the speed of it is, the main factor, because that's the end of the straightaway. You're at maximum speed and you hit a solid blunt object and went from 90 miles an hour to zero.
Right.
Nothing.
Movable object, immovable force. Or other way around, movable force, immovable object.
You go back and look at the wreck Jason Hughes had at Muskogee last year.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was kind of the same deal. He hit the end or the opening of the racetrack on that wall, and then ended up rolling, and then ended up on his side, and that guy hit him square on the top of the roof. And Jason climbed right out of it and was unhurt. But you just never know. I mean,
right.
You can never predict what's going to happen or when it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always there's times where I'd almost give up. I would give up speed for safety. In my mind, if I got to sit there and decide, I got to put this on the car, but it's going to slow it down a little bit, but it could save the driver's lives.
Right.
And that, to me, that's worth more than anything.
Well, I think that as far as that wreck Saturday night at Enid, it was a perfect circumstance as far as equipment, the fact the car was new. He obviously didn't skimp on safety equipment in any way, shape, or form, and then a little bit of luck. And that driver he was totally unscathed.
Yeah.
So.
That all plays into it. How old cars are, and we cut cars apart all the time fixing them, and you cut a bar off and water pours out of it.
I was just about to go there. I was going to say the other thing we talked about today was mistakes that we've seen that people make when they're building race cars. I've seen welds that are incomplete. I've seen welds that are awful. I've seen give us some things that you've seen.
Man, I've about seen it all, I think. Of course, when I think that, something shows up that I thought I'd have never seen, but, that just goes back to something I try to make a little better every time we build a car. Is there a better way to weld this, or just trying to eliminate as many mistakes as possible. And we've changed stuff over the years, like how we mount the seat and the seat belts, and collapsible steering shafts, and just whatever we can do to improve that, to try to eliminate as much as we can.
Yeah. Looking at the Facebook chat right now, Tyler Honeywell says Curtis builds one of the safest and fastest cars out there. So building off of his statement, what is one of the things that you implement into every one of your cars that is just, to you, you're not going to build a car without this feature on it? What is that for you?
Man, I don't know that there's one single feature. I mean, it's a whole lot of everything. It goes back to buying quality materials. Making sure we're using the right thickness tubing. Making sure we're using the right tubing. You can use. There's several different grades of. You can chrome moly, DOM, or there's electroweld tubing. I mean, there's. And the very first car we built, we started right off using, everything we do is all DOM. We don't try to do anything that's going to put anybody in harm. But I mean, we just try to every car. We just try to make everything as try to go back over them once we're done. I have two other guys there, and I have them look at it. And make sure we've welded everything, and just trying to double check all that and make sure that we didn't miss them, because we have. I mean, we've caught stuff come back from powder coat, or the powder coat caught it. Said, hey man, you missed a spot here. We take it home, grind the little powder coat off, and finish the weld up. Right. Just try to.
Well, apparently you've been doing your job pretty good, because. We've seen a few of them get wadded up, and drivers walk away just fine. I did see, like I was saying a while ago, that post on Facebook. The guy said, if I ever do own a Spark Mod, it's going to be a Western Flyer. So, you sold your product.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, we've had a lot of positive feedback since that wreck, and it's that's not the first one. We've had several in the past. I know two of our cars got destroyed at Elk City a few years ago. Brandon Smith from Amarillo and Cale Westover, and it was a pretty nasty wreck where it looked like Cale's car in the end. The back end of it was about 3 foot shorter, and the front end of it was about 2 foot up in the air. And Brandon's car ended up on its top. It was a bad one. Both of them crawled out and was unharmed. So it feels good when you hate to see it, but in the end, it's nice to see that what we've done has worked. And that guy climbed out and walked away.
Yep. Well, Curtis, it's about time for us to go to commercial, so thank you for being on. We're going to let you get on to driving on down the highway. I guess we'll see you at a racetrack sooner or later?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we're probably in the works here for too long of building another sport mod, so trying to get the modified deal going a little bit and running it some, but I kind of miss running the sport mod now.
Well, thanks again for being on, especially at such short notice. And thanks for all of your input, because, that's what we wanted, is we wanted somebody that knows it from the inside out, I think. And I think that you were definitely a guy to go to. So thank you very much.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, Jamie, you want to take us to commercial?
Absolutely. Coming back on the other side of commercial, we're going to talk a little bit more of the schedule, a little bit of the point standings, and a little bit more news on the Sooner Limited Modified Series. And then we're going to be joined by none other than Mr. Trayton Gann. So hang out, grab a beer. We'll be right back.
I'm Smiley Sitton. I want to give you a couple ideas about Smiley Spring products. What we have in the Spring line. We have roughly 75 different lines. Everything you need in your sprint car. The most important thing you have is somebody that can hear your problems. I solve problems all day, every day. We've got the parts you need to get going again, and the advice you need not to buy the wrong parts. Don't buy your parts online. Call and talk to a real person that does this all day, every day. I talk to more people in the industry on a daily basis, and I'm talking about vendors, manufacturers, end users, team owners, and everything than anybody in the country. And we will continue to do that. That's how we got where we are. I've been doing this almost 60 years. I've done business with everybody in the industry, and there's anybody in the industry that I can't call today to find out about their latest stuff and what they're doing. Don't forget, for your sprint car needs, call Smiley. You can call me and reach me directly anytime. We're looking forward to your call.
I'll find it, though.
All right. That's where I'm going as soon as we come back. I'm going to commercial. Going to do the sponsors.
You're back.
All right. Welcome back to the Sooner Limited Modified Series show. And now that we come back from commercial, we're going to do a quick commercial. We want to thank following sponsors, FB Graphics and Design, Hoosier Racing Tires, Schoenfeld Headers, Knockout Graphics, Smiley's Racing Products, Bulletproof Products, Donco Plumbing, TCC, that's Total Custom Carbs and Dyno, 41 Shocks, Steve's Auto Machine, High Tech Tactical, Images ×2, and Ibex Race Bumpers. Thank you to each and every one of those sponsors. We appreciate you very much. So now, we go to the second half of the show. And, Damien, as you said, we should have, hopefully, our second guest on.
Yeah, Mr. Trayton Gann will be joining us here momentarily. But, let's talk a little bit more Sooner Sport. So I almost said it. Where's the swear jar at?
Where's the jar? Where's the jar?
I caught myself, though. The Sooner Limited Modified Series. We checked out what we got going on the rest of the month of April. Let's check out the race of May. Kind of a short month, only 2 races. The 5th out at Enid Motor Speedway and the 18th down at Red Dirt Raceway, which is going to be the 2nd annual Fallen Hero 50. 50 laps around the newly configured Red Dirt Raceway. And if you haven't been there, Larry, why don't you fill these folks in on what they're missing?
The Red Dirt Raceway? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yes, sir.
It is a fast little 3/8, a small 3/8, I would say. It's racy, very, very racy. There's 3 wide and 4 wide racing there. It's always a very competitive track. Our drivers love to go there, and we look forward to having just one heck of an event there because it always is. And that Fallen 50 thing is awesome. And unfortunately this year, I have a scheduling conflict, so I'm going to have to miss that one. But you'll be there.
Yes, sir, I will. You put out the invitation for me to tackle the Fallen Hero 50 after the big success that it was its inaugural year, so I can't wait to go out there and call 50 laps. That you say it's a small 3/8. I would say it's a big quarter.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe the old configuration, but this
yeah,
new,
it's a bull ring. It's an absolute bull ring. Don't let me confuse it any at all. But good grief, it's a racy little bull ring.
Checking out the
4 wide there. Easy.
Yeah, easy. Checking out the month of June for the series. The 2nd, it's back to the Enid Motor Speedway. The 9th, you're going to be down at Oklahoma Sports Park in Ada. And I do believe the 16th, you're going to be at the Elk City Motor Speedway. That's another racetrack I've never been to, but I get the opportunity to go there this year with the series, so can't wait for that. What do you think, Larry? Want to take a look at the top 10 in points after what is it, one event so far?
Yeah. Why don't we do that? Looks like sitting on the top of the points with 1 win.
Only a 3-point margin.
Looks like, make sure I'm on the right points here. Hang on just a second. Yeah.
Well, while you're looking there,
get a calculator.
Dale Westover with 240 points sits on top, and Robert Elliott with also 1 win and 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s sits at 237, and then it's only 3 points back to Jared Baird. Baird doesn't have any wins, but he's got 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s, and he's at 234 points, so there's only 6 points difference between first and third. Then we drop back to 4th place, Don Reed with 224 points, 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s. Only 10 points difference there between him and Jared. In 5th place is Brandon Kinney. Brandon has 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s and is sitting at 210 points. And right behind him, a rookie that has just come on and has just really shown what he's got. Rookie for the sport or limited modified. Where's the jar? Limited modified series, but not a rookie driver. That'd be Heston Shaw. He's got 1 top 5, 2 top 10, 209 points. Quit. I know why you're laughing. Stop. 7th place, inside joke, folks. 7th place, Christopher Wilhite with 2 top 10s, no top 5s, sitting at 195 points. And 8th is Roselle with 2 top 10s and 181 points. 9th is Kyle Goforth with 1 top 10, 188 points. And rounding off, that did round out the top 10. I missed Todd Decker, and there's who I missed. Decker sits in 9th. So between 10th and the leader, there's less than 60 points.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. It's pretty. I can't wait to get the rest of the season going, man. It's just it's been too long of a break. What's it been? Almost a month now.
Right, and this is, you and I both know this is going to change because, we're going to get different winners. We're going to get some people breaking here and there, and things are going to go, the way they always go. And it's going to be really interesting as the year progresses.
Well, let's get Stevie Slater on here. He is the man behind the series, and have him talk a little bit about this gun raffle that we've also got going on this year. Last year we gave away that AR-15. Well, this year, I do believe it's High Tech Tactical is back with another rifle to be rifled off, Steve, and they stepped up their game a little bit this year.
Yeah, you caught me sleeping a while ago, didn't you?
Making sure you were still there, buddy.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm just making sure everything's going all right on this end. But anyways, this year we're giving away a 270 Savage Trophy Hunter rifle. So raffle for a rifle. There we go.
There you go. A rifle.
And anyway, it's $10 for one ticket, $20 for 3 tickets, and $40 for 7 tickets. And what we're going to do is going to give this away right before hunting season. That way you can try out your new rifle during hunting season. You can buy it for your kids or your loved one or whatever you want to do, or just buy it for yourself. But
there you go.
We decided to do something a little different this year, and we thought the hunting rifle would probably be a good thing for around here.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a lot of hunters around here.
Well, Steve, while we got you on here, let's talk about next week. Let's talk about going down to Texas, man. How'd you pull this one off, man? Are you excited to get back down there? I know we had the rain out. Larry did with the late models, I believe. But are you excited to get down here?
Well, it's always exciting going and seeing a different track. I've never been here. I asked throughout the winter time when I was making a schedule, hey, where do y'all want to go? And somebody mentioned Super Bowl. I'm like, okay, let's give it a shot. So I went and texted them and told them the information about the series, and they said, yeah, we'd love to have you. So after that, we made a couple of races, put in a schedule, and next week we get to invade Texas, and hopefully us Okies get to show them Texans how we can do it.
A little Red River rivalry, maybe?
That's what I'm hoping on. It's always a good thing to have, right?
When we started talking about this trip to Texas on the air, I was looking for the theme from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly so I could play it in the background. Going to be an old-fashioned shootout down in Texas.
Yes, sir. Well, Steve, where else is the series going to head to for the first time in 2018?
Well, we got Elk City. We actually have not been there this year, or last year, I'm sorry, when we started, and they got one of the old promoters that used to run it, and they're going back out there and going to run it again. And they sent me a message that they would like to have us out there, and I said, okay, that sounds great. But we ended up with 3 races over there for this season, so pretty excited about that. I've actually been there one time, watched a buddy of mine race, and it was probably one of the coolest races I ever watched. I know when they finished at the line, all top 4 cars were side by side. It was a photo finish, and the whole entire race was that way. I mean, you were standing on your toes. You didn't know who was going to win or what was going to happen the next lap or nothing. It was very exciting. So I'm really excited about having a race out there. I know a lot of the Elk City guys have never raced with us before, so I know they're pretty excited about us coming out there, and they've been wanting to race the series a little bit. But sometimes they get tied up on their own points out there. So now we bring the show to them. So that's going to make it real exciting for everybody. We also get to go to Humboldt. It's been kind of a dream to actually go out there, and it's going to be really exciting to have us come out there against the B-Mods. The next day, we're going to go to Caney Valley. We have not been there yet, and that's a fun little track. I'm trying to remember what year it was, but it's been quite a while ago. My dad used to have a dwarf car, and he actually races dwarf car out there. That's a neat little facility, and it's going to be some really good action out there. And another new track is Salina High Banks, and I know a lot of people were excited about that because that's a very fast-paced track. I mean, you're on the roll when you're out there.
Yeah, I've never got to
those tracks right there are going to be against the B-Mods.
You're going to enjoy that show,
either.
You're going to love that show.
I've never been there. I've every video I've seen of that place has just been amazingly fast. I can't wait to go there and experience in person. I got to go to Humboldt just a few weeks ago and experience that place for the first time, and that was really cool. So, man, all these new racetracks that you're going to, it says a lot about the growth in just one season of the series, man. It's again, congratulations with a hell of a job done.
Well, I appreciate it. It takes a lot of work. The funny thing is when I initially built the series, I was thinking, hey, I want to step aside and take away and not behind the steering wheel anymore. Maybe take a break. And well, joke's on me. It's a lot more work to run a series than it is actually race a car. But you know what? It's well worth it. And when I get out of that. When we get there at the races and everybody has a smile on their face and we get done and everybody had a good time, that's what it's all about. I want the fans to be happy. I want the racers to be happy. And I want the track promoters to be happy. And that's what I enjoy. I just enjoy having a good race for everybody.
And, you know, something that I've seen already, Steve, that had been tossed about by some tracks is, well, this is going to hurt our car count. Well, I've been to two Sooner Limited Modified Series Sport Mod, or yes, they call them Sport Mod, so I guess we can call them that. Sport Mod races this
it's
month.
So confusing.
And I'm here to tell you that the tracks have cars that don't run with us. They have cars that do run with us. So we're not hurting car counts anywhere. You know, that myth can be dispelled now. You know?
That was the thing, is when I built this series, I don't want to fill up the whole entire schedule for everybody because I do want them to have a chance where they can go to the other tracks when they're off with us. And I want to make sure that these other tracks can get the car counts that they want and get to what they deserve. And in a lot of times that we've had our races, I've had guys come up to me, and you know, I'm going to say Red Dirt was one of them, but a lot of guys were scared to go out to Red Dirt because they hear all these stories about, oh, the track's getting smaller than it used to be. It's not like it used to, you know. It's not like the bigger racetrack it used to be. And they was nervous about it. When they come back to me, they said, man, that was a blast. They came back the next weekend. We weren't even racing that weekend. So it helped their car count. And that's really kind of what I was kind of hoping for.
Right. Well, I just wanted to mention that because I had heard that, you know, we talked about last year how we had heard that from some promoters, and I just wanted to put that out there that, you know, like I said, I've been out there. There's sport mods running that don't run with us. There are sport mods that do run with limited modifieds, whatever, that do run with us. And so, you know, like I said, we're not hurting anybody's car counts. So.
Right. Yeah. You know, that was just, when I heard that, you know, I try to talk to the person about it, and I was hoping that we could make some changes and change their mind. But hey, you know, that's what happens. But people are seeing what's going on with the tracks, and they see that their car counts are getting better. So you just got to show it out there.
Right.
So one of the, you know, another tracks we're going back to is, you know, after we go to Super Bowl, we're going to go back to Ada, or Oklahoma Sports Park. And that was we only had one event there last year. This year we're going to have two. And I really enjoyed that track. I've raced there a couple times myself, and it's an interesting track. You know, he's talking about Super Bowl having that one straightaway. It's just not really straightaway. It's kind of a curve. Well, and, you know, when I was racing Ada, it's kind of the same way. It's got that curve. It's kind of a D shape, and it makes it real interesting for the drivers. And when you don't just set up a car for, you know, for a normal track, you got to set it up for a totally different track.
Right. And you got several drivers in the series that are real familiar with that track.
Yes, we do. I know Jeff Roselle have
Jeff Roselle, Glenn Chappa, Chris Borges, Frank Stapp, all those guys are real familiar with Beta. They've run that track many a time. So
yeah, and it made a pretty great race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to get the rest of 2018 going with the series, man. It's a lot of new things, a lot of big things, a lot of great racing coming up for the series. But oh man, I'm excited, guys. I'm ready for the sophomore year of this series to get going and see how these points shake out and everything. And it's going to be a good year for us, I think.
Yeah,
I think
most definitely.
Right.
Well, it looks like we've got our guest on.
Aha, looking up there at the board, I see you might be correct. We've been talking about that incident. We talked a little bit with our first guest about it. Well, let's talk to the man that was in the seat. Trevin, how you doing this evening, buddy?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, we're not too bad. Hey, man, first and foremost, glad you were able to walk away from that. And how you feeling? Were you pretty sore the next day, or was it kind of like you were when you crawled out of the car, just fine?
I was pretty sore on my right side where I hit the tractor tire, but other than that, I'm completely fine.
The equipment definitely did its job. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Take us through what happened from the driver's seat. You're coming down out of turn 4, headed down the front straightaway, and what happened?
Under that restart, I think my tires glazed over, and I was depending on that right rear a lot to hold my spot. And I was coming down the front straightaway, and the right rear tire dropped off, and it turned the car sideways. And when I did that, it hit the tractor tire up against the wall.
Now, were you still wide open trying to get it back onto the racetrack when you made impact with that tire?
Yeah, I was full throttle.
And what was that? I mean, I know Larry and I had talked about it, and everybody that I've talked to since, that impact that was a hard lick, man.
Oh, yeah.
Had you ever been in anything like that in your racing career up until now, or was that the worst for you so far?
No, I've never been through that. I've never seen anything like that, to be honest with you.
To kind of, for the people that weren't there, kind of after you slept on it, you got up the next day, you looked at the car. Tell us a little bit about what exactly was damaged on that car.
Well,
this could be a long list.
I was going to say, let's make a shorter list. What isn't damaged? No, go ahead.
What could you save?
We saved the transmission, the motor, the front clip, and then the seat. The other things on that car are all gone.
Wow.
Rear end?
Now.
Yeah, the rear end, the pumpkin's all bent up, and it's done.
Wow. And I saw the fuel cell was tore apart.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get a new one just to be on the safe side.
Absolutely.
Now,
speaking, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You had hit on that fuel cell. With a hit like that, there was no fire, and I think a lot of that has to do directly with the type of fuel cell that you were running that night. Tell us what that was.
That was a fuel-safe cell, and I believe that's one of the best ones you can get. And everyone that told me that they were near that crash, they said that there was not a single drop of fuel on the track.
Nope, and you are absolutely correct. And I also noticed that you also carry an onboard fire system. Is that Halon? Is that what is that in those bottles?
I'm not sure to be exact. You'd have to ask the guy that put it in there. I'm not sure.
But it's really good to see you running that, though. I mean, worst case scenario, I think that would have done its job as well.
Yeah, it's an automatic one that way. If you are unconscious, like if you are turned over upside down and you are not responding or you're unconscious or something, there's heat sensors under there where it'll automatically go off if it gets to a certain temperature.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the car. Was it a brand new car, is what I understand?
It was raced a couple times in the previous season, but it was a 2017 Skyrocket.
So it's a pretty fresh car, obviously very well built, and all the safety features absolutely did their job. What after you stopped? What do you remember? What do you remember? Period. I mean, you remember everything about it. You remember hitting the wall and starting to go over.
I remember dropping the right rear off on the front straightaway, and I remember hitting the wall, and I remember hearing everything explode because it all came apart, and then I don't remember rolling or anything, and then I remember opening my eyes and seeing that the dirt on the ground where I was rolled over on the top.
And then the safety crew gets there. What do they say to you, or what do you say to them?
They're just making sure that I'm okay, and I want to give a huge shout-out to Enid, safety crew, and Kip Hughes and all those guys, because they were right there with me.
Yeah, Kip told me a little bit about he was, I guess, one of the first ones to get to you.
Yeah, he was the first one I saw when I opened my eyes.
Right. And you asked him if you could take your helmet off and get out, and he said that he didn't want you to get out just yet, but that you could definitely take your helmet off. And then he helped you get out of there, because upside down like that, it's impossible to get out by yourself. You're hanging by your belts, basically, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, man, absolutely just fabulously great to talk to you. It's amazing that you said, and you described it perfectly when you said you heard it exploding, because that is what that car did. It exploded. Folks, if you haven't seen the pictures, they're up there, and you know, it's a good thing that Trayvon didn't get hurt or anything, and we're not, publicizing. We're not trying to whatever I'm trying to say. We're not trying to make, something big out of this wreck. What we're trying to do is point out that, the safety factor and how he was able to walk away from this deal and why. And I think that your car did a pretty good job of everything it was supposed to do. All of your equipment did exactly what it was supposed to do, and a little bit of luck, and thankfully you're still here to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you.
What are your plans now?
Do what?
What now? Where does Trayvon Gann go from here? You got another car?
Yeah, we're putting the other car together, the one we ran last year. But while we're doing that, they're up there at Shyrock building me a brand new 2018 car.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the beginning. Let's go back to what got you involved in racing? Is it a multi-generation thing? Or are you the first one in your family to do it? And how long have you been at it?
My uncle Casey McClaskey, he's my uncle. He raced modifieds before I got into it, and that's truly how I got into it. I've just always been around it throughout my life, and I just fell in love with it.
Where would you like to see yourself ultimately end up? Are you a modified guy? Would you like to go sprint car racing, late models, or are you dreaming maybe NASCAR or something like that?
I would truly like to be a late model guy, a Lucas Oil late model guy, but I know that, yeah.
Yeah, you got hopefully be in the right place at the right time, because anymore it takes a lot of money to run with those boys. So, man, I wish you the best in your racing career, and we're happy to see that you was able to walk away from that. Probably one of the worst crashes a lot of us have seen in a long time, if not ever. So, man, thanks for hanging out with us here. And Larry, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Well, I was just going to say, among other things, he was doing really well at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
Running in there about 5th or 6th, something along that line, I believe, 7th, something along like that, and really was putting it on. there. So we look forward to seeing you again. Are you going to plan on running some more with the Sooner Modified Series, or did you just happen to be at Enid for that event? Or
yeah, we plan on running more Enid shows in the future. I know we'll be at the USMTS show at Enid for sure, but in the future, like this season, I'm not sure where we'll be exactly. But yeah, we plan on being at more shows at Enid.
Cool. All right, real quick, how about a list of those sponsors, because we can't get off of here without talking about your sponsors.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to thank Shyrock Chassis for making an excellent car. Allen's Automotive in Chanute, Kansas. He provides us with anything we need racing-wise. Great guy. Legacy Signs in Ponca City, Oklahoma. They put the wrap on the car. Excellent job on the wrap. Harlan's Diesel Service. He's the guy that gets me everywhere I need in the truck, and he does a lot for me. Yes Finance in Ponca City. They do a lot for us. And Boomer Tire in Ponca City, that they provide us with pretty much any tire we need.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks again for being with us. We're really, really glad that you are with us, and we look forward to seeing you out at the track again the next time that the Sooner Modified Series comes to Enid Speedway.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Well, what else we need to talk about?
Well, before we get out of here, as he alluded to, he will be at the USMTS show out at Enid. That is the next race on the calendar. We have a open practice April the 28th. Gates open at 5 p.m. And then April the 29th, the big boys of the USMTS Modified Series roll into town along with the Sport Mods. Admission is going to be $15 for adults, $12 for seniors, military students, 12 and 15 years of age, and kids under 11 are free. Racing starts at 7 o'clock, so be sure and get out there and catch the USMTS at the next show at Enid. And I'm hoping you get to make the trip up there, Larry. I think we were talking that's going to be a Sunday show, so plan accordingly, and hope to see you guys out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's going to be a great show, and I hope to get to be up there. One more time, we want to thank Ibex Race Bumpers, Images X2, High Tech Tactical, Steve's Auto Machine, 41 Shocks, TCC, Donco Plumbing, Bulletproof Products, Smiley's Racing Products, Knockout Graphics, Schoenfeld Headers, Hoosier Racing Tires, and FB Designs. And we want to mention again the rifle raffle. Try saying that 3 times fast. The rifle raffle, you can buy those tickets on PayPal as well as at any one of our events and take home that nice 270 rifle and maybe bring down Bambi next time hunting season fall that comes around. So between now and then, on behalf of myself and Damian Bean and Stevie Slater, I'm Larry Carr. We want to thank DTRN Racing Network for putting us on and for putting up with our shenanigans. And you got anything before we go?
Yeah, once again, want to thank all the Dustin Schoonover guys for properly keeping us supplied with Coors Light last Saturday night at the races. Big shout-out to those guys, and thank you very much. And, again, thank you to the fans that stuck around through the cold weather. And hopefully the next show, it should be a little bit warmer for that April 29th show out there. So, man, I can't wait to see all beautiful faces out there, all 5,500 of you strong as you pack the grandstands at Enid.
Absolutely. Hey, and spoiler alert, next week Stevie's telling us he's going to have a special announcement for us, so you'll want to tune in next Thursday night right back here on DTRN Radio Network and Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever else that you listen to the show. Richie, you got anything going on up there in New York to talk about?
Nope, not yet. We haven't started our season yet. As far as I know, we start next week. They're supposed to do some practices this weekend, weather permitting, but that's about it.
Yeah, y'all been getting a little snow, haven't you?
No, most of the snow is gone. We got some flurries the other day, but mostly right now, actually, we're dealing with a lot of heavy wind.
Huh.
We're used to that.
Right. Okay, well, I guess that brings us to the end of our show. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you at the racetrack.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
This has been a Dirt Track Racing Network television program, sponsored by Dirt Fund Me, your crowdfunding source for dirt track racing. Log on to dirtfund.me and start your campaign today.